Educational research, the research process. This is the 8-step model for carrying out research. While these steps play an important part of the research, there is much more involved both before and after each step. These are 5 steps of the pre-production stage. Many research start due to the fact that there is a problem to investigate. For this reason, one of the most important steps and the first steps in the pre-production stage is to identify a problem. Due to the fact that we often have a different understanding of the words we use, it is crucial to clarify the problem after literature review. For example, we may not really imagine the same thing when we talk about participation. It is even more likely when we consider very abstract ideas like interest and attention. So, for this reason, understanding of main concepts has to come as an obligation for any researcher. Let's begin with the concept of a research problem. A research problem is a statement about an area of concern, a condition to be improved, a difficulty to be eliminated, or a troubling question that exists in practice that points to the need for meaningful understanding and deliberate investigation. It can be posed in the form of a question, and you should remember that a research problem does not state how to do something. It offers a vague or broad proposition or presents a valuable question to be answered at the end of the research and is submitted in the conclusion paragraph of the educational research report. As you can see, it requires a good deal of thought and knowledge of your chosen topic of study. In order to isolate a suitable research problem, you will need to narrow down to a specific problem from a wider problem area. That will be your possible research problem. The research problem statement can be improved after literature review, as it necessitates clarification of a research problem, and it is usually done after the literature review. Synonyms for area of concern might be field, area, scope, area of interest, area of knowledge, discipline, area of study. It is very important to understand that there are many different areas of concern in educational research, so you should be able to verify a particular area of your research with respect to its broad field. So, in other words, area of concern is the topic of interest, the aim of the research, and is used to define the title of the research. So, when developing your educational research title, you should be able to verify a particular area of your research with respect to its broad field. Broad field is an area of concern in educational research. For example, education, learner and learning, teacher and classroom, information and communication technology, EFL teaching and learning. These are broad subjects which are integrated by various related disciplines, but these areas of study are very broad. So, you will have to work on your working title, which is a particular area of your research with respect to its broad field. And the final title is usually done at the end of the investigation. And the final title captures the reader's attention and draws his or her attention to the research problem that was investigated. The working title should be developed in the pre-production stage of the research process because it can help support the focus of the study as much as research problem does. And the final title you submit to your tutor is created after the research is complete so that the title accurately includes what was done. Therefore, let's look at some important areas of educational research where a researcher can explore his or her problem for the study. These are the examples of possible working titles for your educational research. So if you come up with a title that is effective teaching, classroom management, or learning styles, this is the topic that can work for you before you do literature review, before you design your research, and before you conduct it. As soon as you finish conducting your research, you collect data. There is another step that you might have to accomplish is to improving your title. The following areas can also be included in the working educational research title as they might play a very important role for catching the reader's attention. So, evaluation and measurement. Either it is elementary, secondary, higher, professional, adult, distance, inclusive, or language education, or models of teaching. So, effective title in academic research papers have several characteristics. It indicates accurately the subject and scope of the study. When you write your title or topic of your research, try to avoid using abbreviations. Use words that create a possible impression and stimulate reader interest. Use current terminology from the field of study. Try to identify key variables, both dependable and independable. You also may reveal how paper will be organized. You can also suggest a relationship between variables which supports the major hypothesis. Usually, the title consists of no more than 15 substantive words. So, in short, title should summarize the main idea or ideas of your study. It should contain the fewest possible words and adequately describe the contents or purpose of your research paper. Let's look at the example below. The use of mixed learning tools for better engagement when teaching EFL students in elementary public school. So, teaching EFL students is the broad title that any of you focus on when doing academic research in the EFL field. Some of you have chosen working title that is related to engagement. So that's the focus of your research during the first steps of the pre-production stage. After reading literature, you might find out that you might need learning tools, special learning tools to engage your students in the classroom. So this can be the idea also for your outcomes, your main goal of the research, establishing your main objective or even sub-objectives. Besides, by the end of the research, you might find out that you can use the mixed learning tools. It is very important to establish the indicators of your research. In this case, participants, set, place, school. If we are talking about teaching EFL students, we might focus on the school. If there is a difference between public and private schools, you might have to indicate that you will observe and you will conduct the research on public school education. And you might specify what type of participants will be involved. For example, elementary school children. Let's look at some common mistakes. So, the title is the part of a paper that is read first and the most. If the title is too long, it usually contains too many unnecessary words. For example, try to avoid using such phrases as a study of investigate the research is about, for instance. These are not necessary words. If the title is too short, it uses words which are too general. For example, lack of interest could be the title of a book, but it does not provide any information on the focus of their research paper. The initial aim of the title is to capture the reader's attention and to draw his or her attention to the research problem being investigated. Another concept that might be confusing is research questions. So when we talk about research, we think of the instruments that we are going to design to conduct our research. For example, questions for our questionnaires, surveys. And it is very important to understand that we might have different questions that might help us to come to the solutions of the research problem. The research question is the question that is written before research begins. This question or questions are used to help guide the research.